Hello iPad letterers, it's so nice to see you. My name is Karen, I'm from iPad Lettering and I'm here to help you get the most out of your iPad, whether that is with lettering or art or planning and journaling. Today's video is a little bit special because it includes painting, lettering and journaling all in one video. We are going to create a journal spread for the month of November and the theme I've chosen for the spread is going to be Winter Wonderland. I don't know about you, but I'm really hanging out for Christmas. I've always liked Christmas time and I look forward to it so much, but this year I'm craving it like crazy. And that's why I thought it would be very nice to have a wintry theme and get into the festive spirit a little bit earlier than usual. We are going to be using both the Zinnia app and also that Procreate app this time. But before we start planning, I want to do a flip through of last month's journal so you can see what it ended up looking like. I'm also curious to know whether you like those flip throughs of that previous month's journal. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. I very much like my monthly overview page this month. It's nice and simple, it's not too cluttered, but it shows me everything I need to know at a quick glance. And then the weekly spreads actually work quite well too. You can see the first week of October I didn't do too much. I really feel these spreads have worked well with my planning. So I've used these weekly spreads mainly for planning. And then you'll see in my daily logs, which I'm going to show you next, how I've recorded things that happen. So the weekly spreads really help me to plan the week ahead. And then in my daily log, I've incorporated some images this time as well. And this time I've used the daily log to record memories, to use it as a gratitude journal and just to document a few things that happened this month. One of the things that was really cool is that we've actually had some snow. And that very much reminded me of my childhood when I was able to ski behind my house. So I just wanted to include a little snippet of what that looked like. I'm just going to flip through some of the other pages so you can see what they looked like. I also ended up making these backgrounds for my iPad. So there is a number of different designs here. And Zinnia was just super helpful to create these cute designs. All right, but now it's time to create a new journal. And as always, we are going to start with a blank page. I normally design the cover pages first, but in this instance, I actually want to start with the monthly overview. And then we're going to do the cover page at the end. I very much like the layout that I had last month, so I'm going to do something quite similar this month. So we're going to go to templates and then in the monthly planners, I'm going to select the same template that I had last month. And we are going to ungroup this and then remove all the parts that we don't want. And then I want to have some more of these lines. So I'm just going to copy and paste them and then align them so that they fit like this, and then we can group them. And so now we have a nice list for our notes. Okay, so now we are going to write the headings here for the month and also for the list here. So now what we're going to do is turn on the grid paper like this, and then we can write our headings. So now for the November heading, I'm going to select the paint pen. I'm going to write black, and I'm just going to letter this out here. And you can see now, thanks to that smoothing feature of the brush pen, it makes it so much easier to create these beautiful titles. So this looks pretty good now. So now on this side, we're going to write to do, and you can use the same pen again. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. Also with the smoothing, I don't recommend that you make this 100% because it's actually quite hard to control the brush strokes. I usually have it set around 84%, and that seems to really work quite nicely. And for the to-do heading, I want to use an extended script font. And then we are going to write the labels here for each day. But what I recommend that you do is actually write them on a new page. So now we're going to create a new page and we're going to turn on the grid. And now we're going to write these separately because we're going to use them on another page as well. So it's nice to have them on a separate page so then you can reuse them on different pages. So now that we've written all these labels, let's copy them and then we are going to paste them into the monthly overview page. So before we're going to distribute them, we want to resize them, and it's easiest to do that when you still have them in this group. So now we're going to resize it, and I recommend that you use Wednesday because it's usually the longest word, and make sure that Wednesday fits into the gap. And then of course we are going to write the days here as well. And again, you can either write them by hand or you can type them into the little box. So this is up to you, whichever way you prefer of doing this. I really enjoy the handwriting part of creating my journal. I find it very relaxing, so I usually tend to handwrite them. Alright, so now the basics of our weekly overview page is done. And so now comes the fun part, of course, which is the decoration. So let's see how we can add a little bit of that winter wonderland feel to this page. So we're going to start by adding a background. And I still really like the watercolor background, which is in the textured papers pack. So I'm going to add this. I'm going to select it. And then, of course, it's going to hide everything at the start. But we already know what to do, right? So what we have to do now is put this at the back of the stack. And then we're also going to decrease the opacity a little bit. We only want to have a slight paper texture feel. And then you also want to lock this in place so that it doesn't accidentally move around. Now let's see what kind of stickers we can add. Alright, so now the only thing that's missing are the snowflakes. I've made the snowflakes in Procreate and I've actually made a few different designs for these snowflakes as well. But because this video is already quite long, I will do another separate video where I'm going to show you exactly how I made these snowflakes. So for now, all we have to do is copy that layer and then we can place it in Zinnia. And now we can paste this a few times and then you can also decrease the opacity on some of them so they're not all exactly the same. And then just distribute them around the page where you would like to have them. You could totally draw these snowflakes in Zinnia as well if you wanted to. The reason why I made them in Procreate is because it's much easier to change the color. If you made them in Zinnia, you'd have to redraw them every time. So now if I wanted a slightly brown color to match my other icons here, all I have to do now is go back to Procreate, and I've already made a brown one as well. So I can copy this and then I can paste it into Zinnia like this. And so this is really nice and easy to make mini icons really quickly and have them exactly the way you want. This is our monthly overview page done. So now let's create a new page and let's start working on the weekly spread. And before we do this, I actually want to set up a spread template so that I can reuse it for every week. And we're going to start by adding the background texture, and then we can lock this in place and adjust the opacity like this. And then what I thought would be really cute is actually paint in this winter wonderland setting. I want to keep it quite simple, so let's choose the watercolor brush and then just paint in a little bit of a snowy watercolor background. Alright, so now let's add some more snowflakes here as well. And then we're also going to add in a little bit of snow flurry with the paint pen. Alright, so this is our template done. So now let's duplicate the page so that we always have a spare version of the template. So now we're ready to create the weekly spread, and I'm actually going to do this on a blank page because it's a little bit easier to see on the white page and it makes it just easier to assemble it. So we are going to select one of the weekly templates, and I've selected the one that has got a weekly tracker here at the bottom as well. I don't quite like this template, so we can modify it a little bit. And in order to do that, we are going to ungroup. And I'm actually going to remove quite a lot of these elements. So you might say, well, what's the point using this template when you're then going to delete everything? And that's actually a very good question. The reason why I like using this is because it's giving me an idea of what I want. Rather than starting from scratch, this has some of the elements I like, and then I can just modify the rest. And since we already have the labels that we've written here, so we can just grab them now and copy, and now we can paste them here. So now there's a few labels that are missing, but we can just write them in here now. Alright, so now we're going to add some weekday numbers here as well, and we can use the lettering stickers for this. And then I also want some background for my other labels here, so I'm just going to paint them in myself using the paint pen. And then I thought it would be also nice to change the color of the labels here. So now what we're going to do is group everything, and then we are going to copy this and then paste it onto our template. All right, and there we go. This is our weekly overview page done. So the last thing we need to do now is make the cover page for our journal. So we're going to go back to Procreate and we're going to paint it. I'm going to use that small watercolor template, and then the brushes are going to be from my watercolor extension set. I always find it difficult to start with these types of projects. So what I like to do is just put some color on that page. So I'm just going to choose a light blue and then that watercolor bloom brush. And then I'm just going to start painting here. And then I want to add a couple of trees here. So we're going to select a new layer. And then with black and the canvas paintbrush, I'm going to draw in the trees. Alright, so these trees look a little bit like scribbles now, but remember that we're going to do a winter wonderland, and of course the trees need a little bit of snow. So now what we're going to do is change to white and add the snow. And so this is going to take a little while. What I recommend is that you stipple in the snow on top of your branches, and you're just going to tap, 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 and add the snowflakes individually on the top of your trees. So now we also want to add a little bit of grass on the ground. So we're going to go back to black and we are going to create a new layer. And then we are going to add some snowflakes here as well. And for this, I'm going to use the Fine Dots brush. And then on another new layer, we are going to write the word November. So now I recommend that you start writing this in black because it's much easier to see. And I want this text to be on a little bit of an arc. So we are going to create a helper line first. So what you do is you create an arc and then you hold down your Apple Pencil until it snaps into place, and then you can edit the shape of the arc. And then we're going to decrease the opacity. This is just going to be a help line, and then on a new layer we are going to write the word November. Alright, so it doesn't look too bad. If you're not quite happy with your writing, then you can use the warp tool, and you can also turn on advanced mesh, and then you can rearrange the letters ever so slightly. This is just in case you haven't got the angles right of your letters, so this is an easy way to adjust them a little bit, but I'm actually quite happy with them. So now we're going to turn off our guideline, and we're also going to change this to white. So you can swipe to the right to alpha lock this channel and then fill it with white. And then I feel the background is not quite right yet either, so we're going to create another new layer above the blue background, and I'm going to start painting it just some light gray. And then here in the middle, I actually want to add some more white. And then here at the top, I actually want to add in a little bit of purple or red as well. This is going to look horrible right now, but you just need to bear with me for a little bit. So we're going to smudge it out. This is not what it's going to look like in the end, I promise. It's a bit better, but now it's a bit too intense, so we can take down the opacity ever so slightly. And then I would also like to ever so slightly change the color. So now we are going to go to the adjustments and then go to hue, saturation and brightness and tap on layer. So now we can change the color of this. I want to make this a little bit more purple blue to make it match better with the background. I also think it's a bit too saturated, so we're just going to ever so slightly take that down. And so now it creates this really nice glow in the sky. So now we're going to export this, and then we can use it in Zinnia as the cover page. And so now we can load the cover page here. So we're going to tap on the little three dots here and then tap change cover. And now we can choose the photo from our camera roll. And then we're also going to rename this. So this is going to be November 2020. So now we have this really nice Winter Wonderland cover page. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And then I'm also going to bloop up another couple of videos with different journal designs so you can keep watching and you can get some more inspiration for your journals. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.